Hi all, it's Kia of Kia Comments, and I'm back with another Short Story Sunday video. Last week I discussed one story that was under 1,000 words by Leelawati Manuraman called Saving Rupa. I'll leave the link to that discussion below. Today I want to discuss two stories, both of which are over 5,000 words. The first story is written by Native American writer Sherman Alexie. It is from his collection 10 Little Indians, which you can see right here. And the story is called Can I Get a Witness? The second story I want to discuss is by pediatrician and writer Adrian. It is from his collection A Better Angel, which you can see right here. And the story is called The Changeling. Both of these stories were deeply moving, which of course made me consider why and how I was moved by these stories. What did the writer put into the story from a craft perspective that worked on me as a reader effectively? Sherman Alexie's Can I Get a Witness tells the story of a Spokane Indian woman who was having lunch at a Seattle restaurant when a suicide bomber walks in and detonates the bomb. The woman emerges from the rubble after the bombing and is aided by a man who comes to her rescue. The woman tells the man that she was not in the restaurant, but the man says to her, "I saw you in the restaurant and I saw you emerge from the rubble," and the story goes on from there. In Adrian's The Changeling, a father who has been recently left by his wife is caring for his small son who has been traumatized by successive viewings of the September 11th attack on TV. And due to these successive viewings and this trauma, the son has now morphed into an individual who has 1,000 souls who possess him. And all of these 1,000 souls are begging for retribution for their death. The pervasive emotion that I was governed by in Sherman Alexie's Can I Get a Witness was one of empathy. And though this is not an emotion, I felt like I was educated as well. Sherman Alexie's story caused me to challenge my assumptions when the protagonist of this story turns to her rescuer, who insists that he sees her emerge from the rubble and says, "What if the individuals who died in the rubble aren't heroes? What if there's somebody at home, some wife or some husband or some child, who is praising Allah or God that the individual who might have died is somebody that they can now get away from? What if then she, given this opportunity to disappear, wants to disappear because she has a home life that she has decided is traumatizing and that she has decided she wants to leave? What? Well, the Sherman Alexie story left me feeling empathetic and also made me challenge my assumptions of what it was that I thought I knew. The Adrian story, The Changeling, left me feeling deeply unsettled and sad for the father. I felt deeply unsettled because the 1,000 voices that have possessed the young son ask for retribution and blood. And in order to try and connect with his son and find his son, the father kind of skulks around for ways to provide this retribution. It was really creepy to read this kind of narrative coming from a small child and addressing his father asking for this kind of retribution. Just ugh. When considering how both these stories used craft to make me feel deeply, I turned my attention to the fact that both these stories used the sensationalization of a terrorist attack as a vehicle to communicate stories of desertion. The desertion of the woman who is in Sherman Alexie's story, or the desertion of a mother who leaves a father to take care of his child. The grief porn or the guilt porn that Western society sometimes engages in when a trauma occurs. And that's not to say that Western society shouldn't focus on a trauma, but the guilt porn and the grief porn that Western society engages in meant that my eye turned towards these stories because I thought I was going to be getting a story about September 11th or a story about a terrorist bomber, when really I got something that for me was much more profound, which was a story about a woman who is stuck in a situation and she can't seem to find her way out. And this horrendous act, the suicide bomber, allows her some kind of opportunity. The flip side to that was this story about a father who is left alone with his child because a mother has left. And I, again, looked at this story thinking that I was going to get some kind of information on September 11th, but instead got this beautifully moving story about the lengths and depths to which a father would go to connect with his child, even if that child is possessed by 1,000 demons asking for blood. Yes, I know it sounds like the story might be something that you don't buy into, but trust me, Adrian makes it work. That's all. 2 stories that seem to be about one thing, but are about something else entirely. I would definitely check out these short story collections. If you like Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, then you should check out 10 Little Indians by Sherman Alexie. He does the same thing, I think, with Native American characters, which is makes them more than their race. If you like Station 11, then you should check out Adrian's short story collection, A Better Angel. He really ventilates the times and uses unique ways to communicate the condition, the human condition, in the way that I think Station 11 does. Please keep reading, keep writing, keep reviewing. Bye now.